29th of September 25, and the Labour conference has just started, which means that they've got another week off of Parliament. Then Tories will have their thing, then that's another week off, for the whole system, and the Lib Dems just had theirs, etc., etc. I think Reform had theirs during Parliament, I'm not sure, and at the weekend, which makes more sense, really, doesn't it? Somebody said they shouldn't halt Parliament for this. I mean, they've just come back about 3 weeks, but that's how they do. They get uni holidays, basically year 3 in Scotland, uni holidays. Anyway, so on to what Keir's been saying about immigration and that. I mean, it is scary what he's saying, because he seems to totally not understand, really. It is weird, because back in May, he made probably the best speech since 1968 on the policy, and the reason nobody had made a speech about it since then is because anybody who wanted to was too scared, basically. I suppose if you get Labour saying it, then there's nobody, there's only the far left, or, well, you've got the Greens and that as well, I suppose. But yeah, then about a month later, he backtracked on what he'd said, and that was his Island of Strangers speech. But then he backtracked on it a month later, so I would imagine his speechwriters weren't very happy with him. He seems the sort of guy that I don't think anybody likes. If you can see, Rosie Duffield was interviewed by Times Radio over the weekend. If you can see that on YouTube, it's really worth it, because she says even Jeremy, though they didn't, they thought Jeremy was crazy or whatever, Jeremy was really approachable, whereas Keir's really standoffish, and basically nobody likes him, she was saying. I mean, there's no Starmerites, which is what I always keep saying. If you've not got a following, what's going on, really. You've got the Corbynistas. But anyway, he was saying stuff yesterday, which is really scary again. Now he's in scary mode again, He's made two speeches on this, which sounded as if he understood the voters. But now, that's my stomach making noises. But now he's gone back to being really strict now on it, and it just doesn't make any sense at all, because he's not pleasing anyone. He's upsetting his own side if he's got any that support him, and then on the other hand, his thing when now he's upsetting the other side. Yeah. So he was talking about immigration on the BBC, the Larkinsburg and that, the old school media, the old legacy media, where the interviewer interrupts you all the time, and the purpose of the interview is for the interviewer to show you how intelligent they are and how knowledgeable, even though a lot of times they just get it wrong and stuff, or they miss out important things. Yeah, so Sunday was the first day of the Labour Party conference, and he called Reform UK's, I keep forgetting this, Leave to Remain, what is it? It's one of these crazy things that a lot of countries don't have, sort of in between when you get a work visa, between having a work visa and becoming a citizen. Maybe it's like the green card in America, I don't know, but once you get this, you're almost certainly going to become a citizen, and you get right to benefits, etc. Although I thought you already did, because people coming over, I'm sure they get housing benefit and stuff, so I don't know. Maybe they don't get universal credit, but I think they do actually, so I don't really know what the difference is. But anyway, once you're on this, which in many countries doesn't exist, this sort of thing, you're basically going to become a citizen. It's after 5 years. What is it? Leave to Remain. I can't remember. Anyway, he called it the R word and immoral, arguing that it would lead to the deportation of people who are lawfully settled. Yeah, but who made the laws, and who decided, etc. This is what annoys me, really. I mean, is the law sensible? I would say no. So, working and raising families in the UK and would rip this country apart. Well, I don't know. Because he's a Labour, because he's a Prime Minister, you can say this. You're not allowed to say, well, just going ahead with how it is at the moment would rip this country apart, mean, we're meant to all think it's going to be utopia, and if you say that, you can become a politician, a mayor, get knighted, etc. But if you're sceptical and you're a bit worried, basically the left are going to call you the R word if you're a bit sceptical, you know. Professor David Betts reckons it's going to be civil war within 5 years. He said that about 4 months ago in an interview, and he's a military historian. He's not a politician of any kind, you know. Um, so yeah, I've got this. So you don't know. He defended Labour's own proposals, including the new digital ID system, saying it would help prevent people from working illegally. Well, that's very helpful, but I would imagine that there's all sorts of ways you can tell that already. I mean, what about a national insurance card for a start, a national insurance number? Um, he stressed that Labour's approach is about removing illegals, not targeting those who are lawfully resident. And by lawfully, it means laws that have been made. Sorry, that's my stomach again, like, honest. And he's like, well, that's, yeah. He's acknowledged public frustration over the slow pace of change and failure under the previous Tory government, which he said was driving people towards Reform UK. Well, actually, no, I don't think that's true at all. I think it's this one issue, which started in 1948. We've never had a referendum on it. So, we've never had a referendum then. We probably should have had a referendum, say, every 5 years when it was obvious the country was changing. I mean, if we had a referendum on it a long time ago, how would that have turned out? And even now, I think possibly, you can't tell now actually, because the country's changed maybe 25%. Plus, you've got luxury lefties. By luxury, I mean that buffered lefties who don't feel it's affected them negatively yet. You know, I mean, I think key things to look at are women's rights and LGBTQ plus rights. Uh, it used to be from the bikini. Women in Britain would express themselves from the bikini to, I don't know, a big long dress, whereas now it's from the bikini to the burqa, basically. That's how women in Britain want to express themselves. So his remarks were part of a broader strategy to confront the rise of the populist right. Well, he's got it totally wrong. I mean, we really need to know who advises him on these things, because it's obviously totally wrong. I mean, you can tell by the council by-elections each week. Labour are getting trounced each week. Reform are winning when they can. And anyone who's got a council by-election coming up, you're blessed, because it means that you can democratically give your opinion now rather than 2029, which is what we're meant to be for. But I think we need to have one before that, because Labour are under 20% in a lot of the national polls. Personally, I think that means you should call a general election if you're under that when you're in government, but there's no chance of that happening. Apparently, he's the most unpopular Prime Minister ever in a poll this week. So, yeah, I was just asking what he said about the Reform Party. He heavily focused on attacking Reform UK, but I mean, it's traditional Labour voters that are switching to Reform. Well, everyone's switching to Reform. Every traditional voter is switching to Reform, really, in my opinion. I think that's what you should do. You should treat the elections as a referendum, and everyone join YouGov and put Reform on that as well. YouGov's your only chance, really, to be democratic at the moment, and petitions on the government website, and what else? Yeah, look at Restore UK, they're doing great stuff as well. Yeah, so making it clear that he views them as Labour's primary political opponent, so no longer the Tories, which is correct, and they've lost their spot because of this issue. His key comments, and apparently over the weekend there we got a mega dinghy come over from Carly over the channel. It held 125 people were on, and apparently there was 1,300 made it to Britain. this week, and I think the send-back rate's around about 3% or something. I'm not sure, but at the end of the process. So really, most of them know that that's them British. Really, first they'll have their. Well, I don't know what you get the first 5 years. Well, if they're meant to get asylum, I think they get made British straight away. But I don't really know what the others will do. But they're right to think that, really. So they called their policy R-word and immoral. Personally, I think traditional Labour voters will be very happy with it. I mean, it's not affected reform in the polls over the weekend or whatever. They're still very high, 32%, 33, 34%. I think Starmer always gets it wrong. That's what Rosie Duffield was saying as well. And I'm sure most Labour, if not all of them, think that as well. He just gets it totally wrong. I mean, indefinite leave to remain, that's what it's called. I wonder if it's called that so that traditional voters don't know what it means. What does that mean? Most is, yeah. I mean, to make such a change to Britain and not hold a referendum, you couldn't change it anymore with a sort of a new situation that's never happened before in humanity. I don't know how long humans have been around, or 10 million years or something. I don't know, but he told the BBC's Sunday, a terrible programme. I do think that it is our policy. I do think it is immoral. It needs to be called out for what it is. So there you go. He's totally got it wrong again. And hopefully people who've got a council by-election this week will show them what they think of that. And also anyone who does YouGov and Survation or whatever. Warned it would tear the country apart. He argued that targeting people who are lawfully settled, working and raising. I mean, do you think it's going good the way it is? That's the question. We're all supposed to feel it's going to be a new utopia. It's a new thing that's never been tried before. Although in May he called us an island of strangers, right enough. So this is the interesting thing though, because it was looking to me like Reform were only really going to be hard on illegals, but now they're saying the Boris wave and that they're going to deal with that, create a work visa 5 year that needs to be renewed every 5 years, so you're not guaranteed indefinite leave to remain. They're going to do away with that. I think they're also going to do away with dual nationality, which many countries don't have, like Germany. Yeah. So he's trying to say they're going to do say a lot about illegal stuff now. Probably they wouldn't even have done this maybe a year or two ago. So that just shows how the Overton window shifted. Because I find Labour irrelevant now. I find Parliament irrelevant really. Because I mean, Labour, they get in with 33% of the vote of 59% who turned out. So that's probably like 20% of voters at the time. Now they're down at like sometimes 18% in the national polls. They've not got any mandate really, even though they've got a massive amount of MPs, 470 or something. I think it's because it just shows how undemocratic our electoral system is. That's what all it shows really. And he's saying he doesn't call the reform voters are. Well, how not? If you're calling reform are, how are you not calling their voters? When asked if Reform UK was trying to appeal to, Starmer responded that he understood many people voting for or considering them are frustrated by the failures of the previous government and want change. Well, I mean, would they not be voting Labour then? Or just in the usual way? He's missing the point really. So they keep trying to do this, so my message to everyone who votes SNP, Green, Labour, Lib Dems, vote Reform UK at the moment. Advance UK are even better, and they've just become a party, so look out for them as well. They're even better in my opinion. He framed the battle as Labour versus Reform. He urged his party members to focus their efforts on defeating Reform. Well, why, if voting for Reform is they are the hard party, unacceptable or whatever in his thing. Stating that Labour is in a fight for the soul of this country. Actually, it's a fight against Labour, in my opinion. It's the country versus Labour, I would say. Or at least, well, it's something we can't talk about really, but a certain group against Labour, really. So they've lost their their traditional support, really, in my opinion. I mean, they done this last year with the riot. They were sort of riots, but not well. But people were angry. That's what I took out of that. The people were really, really angry about what was happening, and nothing's really changed since then. We've still got the hotels being filled up, still got the dinghies coming over. I mean, he said he was going to smash the gangs, and we've just had a mega dinghy with 125 people and 1,300 people come over on this weekend. How's that smashing the gangs? He's one of these guys that he keeps getting promoted in that under the premises he's really intelligent and the best leader. But actually, when you look at him, it's just a total shambles, really. He's a bit like Trump. I mean, he's not like Trump at all in the way he decides things or what, but I mean, Trump's probably got a better sense of the way things are flowing or whatever. But no, he's like he's just one of these people. He gets everything wrong, but we've still to think of him as the answer. The leader. He's a leader. And I don't know why, really. It's like king's new clothes, really. Emperor's new clothes. I mean, it's sounding now like he's going to get kicked out of the party. He's going to lose. I mean, Andy Burnham's been saying stuff over the week. I mean, because he's also backtracked on a lot of his main policies, He just puts his foot in it all the time. So he's put his foot in it here again. Hopefully this is the last time. He accused them of division. He suggested Reform UK is offering a toxic divide and decline rather than the patriotic national renewal that Labour is proposing. So I don't know if it's that guy who advises him. He's going along with this patriotic national renewal sort of phrase. Patriotic so they can show that they like Britain, basically. Yeah. Like the flag and stuff. He was saying that the flag, people are using it to be divisive, but how's a flag divisive? I mean, a flag's a flag. A national flag is a national flag for everyone. The ones that are offended, they could come out and start waving the flag about. Lib Dem's done that this week. I mean, that's really unusual for them. They're like as globalist as you can get, really. So really, I don't know how it's going to go, really, but I think really they've got to get rid of Keir. I mean, nobody likes Keir, especially the left, I would say, his own side. So I really don't see him lasting much longer. And now he's insulting the British people again, like he did last year. He's just sort of he's the worst Prime Minister I can think of. I've said this before. Like, he's the first one I've disliked. The other ones I've thought incompetent. Like May, Truss, Johnson. Who else? Sunak. I mean, Sunak was quite a nice guy, but he just, I don't know. None of them snapped down on this thing. There's only one. We should only be voting on one issue, a single issue. Treat the elections as referendums on that issue. At the moment, you can vote a form or Advance UK when they come. They're better on this actually, so vote for them. I don't believe in parties, but Advance are the best on this, so that's who I'd vote for. I think everyone should vote, even if you just spoil your vote. If you write something on it, then I've got to just, I'll read it, basically. I wouldn't, I'm not bothered about that, but because I'm voting Reform or Advance UK or that. Okay, bye for now.